I had a friend in college that would lie all the time about everything. You probably know that one person that's like that in your life. We would get together and marvel at how crazy almost every sentence coming out of this guy's mouth was. I remember we were in shock at how somebody could be so delusional. We thought that he was delusional, and we, of course, were not. Well, fast forward to about 2 years ago, I started walking in nature a lot. And by a lot, I mean pretty much dawn till dusk every day. See, when you have a privileged life, you get to start to care about things that most people don't. There are really two types of people that get to seriously care about things related to mindfulness. You either have to be sort of born into it, in which case you could be very poor but still have that privilege, or you have to have endless time for leisure because you have the resources and very limited responsibilities. Other than that, you're kind of screwed. I mean, imagine walking up to a dad of 3 that's barely able to feed his kids and asking him if he'd like to sit and do nothing for hours every day, or take strolls all day through nature. Anyway, see, when you go on a little hike once every couple of months, you say things like, "Wow guys, this is a great hike, huh? We got some good exercise, guys." And that's the end of that. But if you were to walk all day and do this over and over, things get very different. You start to notice that you're unaware about pretty much everything around you all the time. You think you know what a leaf looks like, but you really don't. And there are endless varieties of leaves, and they're all different from each other, and each leaf has a little micro world on it that you've never really looked at with really any attention or awareness. Anyway, not that I don't think that that's very important, but maybe I'm not quite convincing talking about leaves like a crazy person. But the exact same thing happens with your thoughts. And you keep realizing that just like the leaves, you are so unaware of what you actually think. Well, the somewhat good news is you now have plenty of time to get acquainted with your thoughts and actually see them. This right here is essentially what made me quit YouTube. I realized that I was full of shit about everything all the time. It reminded me of my delusional friend from college, and I realized I was basically him, but a better social chameleon. I was all how to win friends and influence people, so I got away with my lies and delusions. I've been fascinated with how delusional we all are. Whenever you observe something in nature, you should ask why it exists as opposed to instantly labeling it good or bad. If you look at anxiety, for example, it is of tremendous value. Our ancestors that were not anxious every time they heard some rustling of the leaves are no longer with us. People are wondering why everyone is so anxious today and talking about how anxiety is so bad. But we live in an environment where saying anything wrong, actually not even saying anything wrong, but saying something that could potentially be misconstrued, can literally ruin your life. In an environment like this, how can you not be anxious? You better be anxious every time you open your mouth if you want to continue feeding your children. Just like with anxiety, there's a very good reason for delusion. See, if you don't know that you're lying and bullshitting is very easy. As soon as you know that you're lying, it becomes impossible to lie convincingly because people can tell. Your body, your tone, everything gives it away. Nature knows this, so just like anxiety, delusion becomes an extremely advantageous trait for survival. Let me give you a simple example. One of the things I hear content creators say all the time goes something like this. "I worked really hard on this, guys, and I'm giving away all this value for free." And people are immediately supposed to sort of get on their knees. Now, other than the fact that you probably shouldn't use the circle jerk word value anymore because it's so overused, this is one of the most insane things to say, yet I would get hundreds and hundreds of likes on this kind of nonsense. The funny thing is, and maybe somewhat redeeming, just like my friend from college, I didn't even know that I was bullshitting. I mean, think about it. What other choice did I or these people have? Like, hey, I was gonna put this video on a DVD and sell it for $100 each to 1 million people, but I love you guys so much, I'm giving it all away for free. And the crazy thing is, it works. It's so ridiculous, but it works. Can you imagine walking into Walmart and being told that they're such good guys, they appreciate you so much, that they tried their best to get you the lowest price, and now that's going to be held over your head for eternity? And I saw the exact same thing everywhere I looked. Everything that I used to watch became completely unwatchable. All of a sudden, it wasn't just my friend from college that was lying and delusional. but everyone became him now without the social ridicule. I mean, let's analyze success for a little bit, and let's not play the semantic game of what success is. Let's not be the guy who says Jesus, and an hour later you find out that by Jesus he really meant gravity. If you made $1 billion last year, you are what we would call successful. But are you really? Not if everyone made $1 trillion last year, then you're the most unsuccessful person ever. In fact, it is impossible to even wish to be successful without introducing ego and many other problematic traits into the equation. The question then becomes, how do you manage this socially? When I took a look at everything that I had accomplished with enough awareness, I realized that 100% of everything I had achieved was because of ego in the real sense of the word. But ego is not a very good word, so it has to masquerade as humility and so on. So you use a few buzzwords and that's literally all it takes. I mean, imagine being 20 years old and thinking, man, if there's one thing this world needs, it's me sharing ideas. It's almost a comical definition of ego, but then again, everything that I have achieved on this channel was because of that. I'd go as far as to say that I've never seen a successful person without these delusional traits. Of course, I've seen plenty manage it well socially, but upon inspection with any sort of real awareness, it completely falls apart. I guess the reason I stopped was because with enough awareness, it was all so pathetic. One day I was listening to this famous billionaire being asked about what the greatest thing about his success was, and he didn't say something like, when he earned the money, his kid had a better life or anything like that. He said, I proved my doubters wrong. And I remember seeing myself in a lot of that and thinking, wow, this is pathetic. These people should be getting therapy, not applause. 2 minutes later, he was talking about how you shouldn't care about what others think and getting more applause. I couldn't watch anymore. See, the fundamental mistake that is made, though, is thinking that if you stop being pathetic in that way, you'll stop being pathetic in general. But that's not true. It's not so much whether you want to be pathetic or not, but how you want to be pathetic. On the other side of all of this, you have people who can't even feed themselves, much less others. Someone has to work all year cultivating rice and other foods, and then serve these people while they get to seek some sort of wisdom. It's a complete lack of responsibility to yourself and anyone around you. While your loved ones starve and get sick, you sit and do nothing. While your tribe gets attacked and destroyed, you are completely unprepared and impotent. If that is also not pathetic, then I don't know what is. Some people try to merge these two, and you usually get a charlatan as a result. When you don't get a charlatan, you get some guy in LA who sort of is into yoga and really totally likes mindfulness. And some say, well, but why don't you approach your goals from that good place now? And the answer to that is, of course, that you basically wouldn't want anything that you want now. And not only would wanting those things not make any sense, but you would feel pathetic just thinking about it. Imagine putting a college kid on national TV and asking him about why he works out so obsessively. What do you think he's going to say? Maybe something like how he does it for health while he gets an applause. Now imagine that kid saying, 'cause I'm kinda needy and I hope to get a little more attention from girls, and I'm also very insecure and care deeply about what other guys think of me, so hopefully this will get them to respect me a little more. I mean, that right there is why kids in college work out. If you have 2 herniated discs from deadlifting, you're not doing it for health, okay? If your routine consists of 20 sets of bicep curls, you're not doing it for health, okay? Do you think you would want a fancy car if you had enough awareness of why you want it? Not only would you not want it, you would be able to see how pathetic your reasons are. Again, look at what happens in practice. You can be a charlatan and show up to your meditation speech in a Rolls Royce. You can be a celebrity in LA who's totally into mindfulness and show up to yoga in your Rolls Royce. But if you look at high-level practitioners of this, it never happens. Why? Because not only does this make no sense from that place, it's pathetic. Once you truly start developing your awareness, everything that motivates you to be successful, again in the most commonly understood way of the word, goes out the window. And those motivators, while very dark, when examined with enough awareness, are also great incentives. Outside of feel-good quotes and so on, this just doesn't work. You don't see any sort of high-level production of anything with the real high-level practitioners of mindfulness, and you see tremendous production from people trying to prove their daddy wrong. I guess in some ways, all of this is romanticized in the same way that we romanticize living in the countryside when you live in a city. But of course, one's not necessarily better than the other. If you were going to live in the countryside, you would also find downsides you never thought about, like maybe loneliness at times and the absence of challenge and so on. Honestly, I don't think I would recommend this journey to anyone. Not that most people, like a dad of 3 children, have the privilege anyway. But it'll start robbing you of your delusions. And without being delusional, it is very hard to convincingly lie, bullshit, and fake everything. And without that, you'll have a very hard time integrating into society.